Throughout its history as a company, the WWE has exhibited a really disturbing pattern of prejudicial and discriminatory and flat out, in some cases, racist treatment towards their non-white performers. Whether you want to admit it or not, it's the truth. It's really indisputable. It is clear to see. And this is a problem for the WWE. This is a huge problem for the WWE, as I've talked about in the past on so many different levels. So, as a vocal, very outspoken critic of the WWE on matters pertaining to this, you can imagine that I was pleased to see that the WWE seemed to be ready to acknowledge this and seemed to be ready to go with this and maybe change the perceptions about them a little bit on Raw, with having Xavier Woods come out and talk to Kofi and talk to Big E and talk about, enough is enough, and basically, to borrow from Owen Hart, it's time for a change. Yeah, it excites me, because I see the potential for wonderful possibilities here. I see the potential for the WWE to do a lot of good things with this. I see the opportunity to provide some young men who otherwise wouldn't be given real opportunities, or would be given the same type of garbage they've been given in the past, or others like them have been given in the past, a real shot, a real fair shake, a real opportunity. I see an opportunity for the WWE to make some new stars, the WWE to make some money off of this and make money for some of their performers as well. I think it's also a good thing for the fans. The bottom line is, I think potentially this could be a very, very big win. Just freaking do it. It's about time thing for all parties involved. With that said, though, I do have some serious and significant concerns about this. My first real concern is that the WWE is doing this in an attempt to shut people up. They see The Atlantic, they see Huffington Post talking about this, discussing this, covering this, and saying, hey, you know what, we don't need any more bad press at this point in time. Even if we could turn it into a positive, we don't need that type of bad press at this point. And as a result, maybe we need to go with something. Maybe we need to do something for a little bit, and maybe we just need to shut them up and get them off our backs. I'm concerned that that's what this is. As is so often the case now in today's modern WWE, so many things are done as knee-jerk reflex reactions without having planning behind them, without having vision behind them, without having a direction for them, that they so often just end up not working and blowing up in everybody's face, and everybody else is worse off for it, from the company to the wrestlers to the fans themselves. I also am concerned that the WWE doesn't understand that this is a very real, very serious problem. I am fully convinced that the WWE sits there and says, oh, we're not like that. We're not like that. We don't have a problem with that. That's just people trying to rabble rouse. That's just people trying to stir up trouble. No, it is a very real problem. And until you truly have the courage to admit that you have a problem, you have no way possibly imaginable of being able to expect yourself to change yourself for the better and make things better, period. If you don't acknowledge the problem, you can't possibly come up with a solution. And as long as the WWE lives in a bubble and lives in a shell and says, hey, we don't have a problem, there's never going to be a solution. And all the while, all it's doing is creating more problems for the company. I also have concerns, too, most notably about the creative direction for this type of group, because there's going to be a lot of talk about this being a new nation, the new nation of domination. And I think if they go in that direction from a creative standpoint, it would be a total and unmitigated disaster, and here's why. The Nation of Domination perfectly fit the times that they were in during the Attitude Era of the late 90s. You had the Rodney King beatings, and then the subsequent trial where the 4 white LA police officers were found not guilty somehow. Then you had the LA riots. You had the O.J. Simpson chase in the Ford Bronco, the murder trial of the century to end all centuries, and the not guilty verdict. You had the Million Man March in D.C. You had Reverend Louis Farrakhan and his Nation of Islam getting a lot of mainstream publicity and attention for some of their so-called militant black views at the time. And the point being is that that outrage, that anger amongst the black community was perfectly encapsulated by the times, by the nation of domination. They were mirroring what was going on in pop culture. They were mirroring what was going on in society. And as a result, the faction worked. They had a vision for it. They had a direction for it. They could base it off of some things that were going on in real life. And by God, wouldn't you know it worked. Ask The Rock how well it worked for him. Hell, ask Mark Henry how well it worked for him. But in 2014, if you go in that same direction, trying to make this just a militant black group, it will not work, and it will be a total disaster. Whether people like it or not, there is a biracial black president in the White House. There are black athletes dominating all different sports. There are more black CEOs than there have ever been before. There are more influential black leaders than there have ever been before. And as a result, the narrative of the times is different. Pop culture and society, no matter how much your media or certain pop culture entities and outlets try to tell you, the narrative has changed. Society has changed. And as a result, that militant stuff of the late 90s would go over like a fart in church in 2014. This is supposed to be a new nation. And what this new faction should do is better encapsulate and represent the changes that are underway, the changes that have been underway for some period of time, the changes that will only grow in this country in the future. Now, to me, this group here that the WWE is putting together, as I said, needs to mirror the times. It needs to represent the changing face and narrative of this country. It needs to better and more accurately represent the changing people in this country. You start off with Xavier Woods. I've been harping on this forever. Get him away from the stupid dancing gimmick. This is a guy that's about to get his freaking doctorate. This is somebody to be taken very seriously. Now you've put him in this type of role that I've envisioned for him for a long period of time. Now you need to go there. Make him the leader of this group. Call him Dr. X. Call him Dr. Xavier. Emphasize again that he is a part of a changing face of America. Emphasize the fact that he is a doctor. Emphasize the fact that he does have his doctorate. Emphasize the fact that he is better than the majority of the people in this damn country. You look at Kofi and you look at Big E. First thing I do with Kofi, I drop that freaking Kingston name. You're not trying to have him be a Jamaica from West Ghana that went to freaking Boston College. You want him to be something different. Have him just freaking be Kofi. Cut his damn hair off if you want. Sit there and change his ring attire. Put him in a damn suit. Same thing with freaking Big E. You sit there and maybe have him shave his head. Maybe they all, except for Dr. X, shave their heads in a show of solidarity, if you will, if you want to go there, even if that seems to come across as a bit militant. But again, with Big E, you get rid of that stupid reverend crap. You sit there and get rid of that stupid unitard crap. You change up his look. You change up his persona. Change their ring gear. You change everything about them. Now, some people will say, well, yeah, they need to add Mark Henry to this, and they need to add Mark Truth to this, and da-da-da-da. No, I'm a very big advocate of keeping Mark Henry and R-Truth the hell away from this group. And the reason being is this, is an individual like R-Truth is exactly what this new group should be against. This new group should totally not support what R-Truth has done with his career and the type of gimmick and stuff that he's done over the years. They should be against him. They should rebel against him. And they should rebel against these notions that this is the type of wrestler that a black man should expect to be, and that's all that he can be. And the same thing with the Mark Henry. You know, this is a guy at one point in time they were calling the freaking, silverback. You know, they've done all types of stupid crap with him over the years. Mark Henry, you say, yes, you put him in there because he was a part of the original Nation of Domination. But again, you look at this from this standpoint, I'm not trying to do, if I'm the WWE, a black militant group, because it will not work in 2014. Again, this group needs to mirror the times. It needs to represent the ever-changing face of America and the people that represent the face of America. And as a result, putting Mark Henry in that group, I think, is counterproductive to that. If anything, you need to keep Mark Henry and R-Truth on the outside. Same thing with the Booker T. You keep him on the outside because Dr. X or Dr. Xavier, Kofi, Big E, they're against these guys. They're against who these guys represent and what they've done and what they've allowed to happen to their people over the years, if you will. You know, in terms of people that I would add to this group, yes, I would add some people. I'd look at potentially adding anywhere between 2 to 4 people in this. So that way you could sit there and really encompass, you know, more people into this and really accomplish a whole lot out of this. And again, better and more accurately representing the changing face of America. The first individual I've got for this group is Titus O'Neil. I think you've got to throw him in. Here's a college graduate, Division I athlete who has a lot of the things you would look at and say this guy could potentially be a star. But whether it be to his pigment or whatever the case might be, the WWE has never really truly given him the opportunity. And the only real time he had any opportunity, and don't say that heel turn that they yanked the rug out of under him after 3 weeks. The only time he had that opportunity when he was doing this. Millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars. And then they got him barking. Titus O'Neil is perfect for this type of group. You know, why should he have to sit there and dance to get attention? Why should he have to sit there and bark to get a match? Why should he have to sit there and do that stupid crap like Rufus Pancake Patterson? Why shouldn't he be sitting there and taken seriously as a legit Division I athlete, as somebody who is a college graduate? Why can't this guy be viewed as part of the future of the company? You know, I look at a guy like a David Otunga. You bring him in from a legal advice standpoint. You know, he becomes their legal representation. You say, oh, how original, how creative. It doesn't matter. In this particular case, it fucking works a lot because, again, he also represents the changing face of America. You've got Kofi, you've got Big E, you've got Xavier, Titus, all college graduates, and in this case, you've got David Otunga, a freaking Harvard-educated lawyer. He has to be in this group for it to work. He must be in this group for it to work because, again, he perfectly represents the ever-changing face of this country. In terms of this group, I don't think it needs to necessarily be reserved for just black wrestlers. It needs to represent more than just that. Again, the changing face of America. I look at Darren Young and I say, you know what? You could make a very strong argument for him because not only in this case is he black, but he also happens to be gay. And as a result, this is something that the WWE has always had a lot of fun with, and they've perpetuated a lot of stereotypes with, and they made a lot of fun of a lot of people with over the years. So a Darren Young would seem to be perfectly suited to be a part of this group and saying, hey, you know what? I'm a black man. I'm also gay. This is my lifestyle. This is how I choose to live it. How dare the WWE make fun of it? And how dare the WWE or anybody else tell me how I should or should not live my life? And then you could sit there and either throw a diva in there, or I think you could even sit there and add a little bit more legitimacy to this and, you know, really get something out of it by putting in your token white guy, if you will. Somebody like a Heath Slater, again, somebody has had to do a lot of comedy and a lot of stupid shit in order to get television time. The elements of him kind of being like an Owen Hart, Blackheart type of thing would really work. You could even throw in a Dolph Ziggler potentially as that token white guy, even though I don't think the elements for him work as well because he's gotten opportunities. You know, to me, this is more about guys who really haven't gotten the opportunities, or when they've had, they've been made to be a joke. And in that case, you could also maybe throw in for consideration a Damian Sandow, a guy who's occasionally gotten opportunities, but now in order for him to get television time, he has to go out there and make an ass out of himself each and every single week. I think, again, with this group, they could do a lot. Some might be concerned if you make too many people in this, you get too many people into it, it's going to become a big schmoz and nobody can get over. And I disagree with this. I think you need to add more people into it because the more people you add into it within reason, especially if they fit and especially if it made sense. And it's a shame that other than maybe a Hunico would be the only person I could throw in there because, again, he's been asked to perpetuate a stereotype, or either Primo or Epico. They're freaking Puerto Rican and they're playing Spanish matadors, having to wear a mask and carry around a freaking bowl. Unless you're going to put one of those guys in the group, you got to sit there and go there. And that's my biggest thing with the WWE, incorporating these people and really having a go at this and really going all the way with this. Having these guys all sit here and say, look, we're Division I athletes or we're college graduates. I got my freaking doctorate and I'm tired of having to rap. I'm tired of having to dance. I'm tired of having to shuck and jive and do all this other stereotypical stupid bullshit that you think is what us black Americans do. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. There's a lot more just like us, and the numbers are growing every day. That's the type of stuff that they need to say. The WWE needs to give these guys carte blanche to go all the fucking way with this and say no stone unturned. Have Kofi talk about the fact that they tried to make him Jamaican. Have Big E talk about the fact that somebody told me he needed to talk like a freaking reverend. Have Xavier Woods talk about the fact how he wanted to do this, and they said, no, you need to dance and shuck and jive and do all this stupid crap. You know, you could sit there and have them go to Naomi and Cameron and Alicia Fox and try and incorporate them in some ways. Talk about don't let them perpetuate these stereotypes against you fine Nubian goddesses and all of this other stuff. The WWE must take the gloves off and they must go all the way with this. No stone unturned, nothing, and I mean nothing, is out of bounds at all. They have to call out the WWE for their bullshit. They have to take the WWE to task for their bullshit. And if they do, and you book these guys in good situations and you follow up with it and you stay with it and you keep going with it, you have the potential to really do something special here. You have the potential to make some new stars out of this. You have the potential to have what would seem to be the next great babyface faction, if you will, in the WWE after you've seen the Shield and the Wyatt family. Because I assure you, if you get the right principles and players involved and you do it the right way, a lot of people are going to buy into this. A lot of people are going to see this, and a lot of people are going to relate to this, and it's going to resonate with them, and they're going to say, by God, you know what? They're right. I sit there and I'm insulted. I'm a white person and I love the NFL and my favorite players are all black. I watch the NBA. All my favorite players are black. And how dare the WWE be afraid that I'm going to rebel against their product if they feature a couple of black guys at the freaking top, because apparently I'm a southern redneck who watches NASCAR and loves it white because that's right. This could really work. And the WWE could have a monster on their hands. My fear is ultimately, though, again, is that they don't acknowledge that they have a problem, that they don't realize that in order to solve the problem, they have to admit that they have a problem first, that they're just doing this as a knee-jerk reaction to get people off their backs and shut up some of the mass media outlets that have been calling them out for this, and that at the end of the day, this is going to be a weak, pathetic attempt by the WWE to try and spin stuff away, shut people up, and then go back to doing things the old-fashioned way, the way they've always fucking done them. I guess only time will tell. And I'm sure I'll talk about this more in the weeks and months to come. But WWE, the time is now. You could sit there and perfectly match the times. You could show your fans the changing face of America. And you could really change the tone and the narrative about your company if you do this the right way. As I've said often, go the distance.